On the eve of the Jonathan Kuminga trade demand, the Warriors faced the Brunson-less Knicks and continued to dominate their homestand. After calling the team mediocre and asking fans not to vote for him, Jimmy Butler has quietly kept putting together an all-star level season, showing a complete all-around game, stuffing the stat sheet, and impacting both ends of the floor. I want to break down how all-star Jimmy is getting louder and louder, so let's get to it. After losing both Brunson and against the Kings the night before, New York came out firing the first quarter and could not miss a shot. With a 10-point lead early, Post sets a super high pick and roll for Steph, who comes off and sees Cat in a drop. Yes, I repeat, a drop coverage here. Off the strong side corner, OG is playing a little higher and Bridges completely ignores Moses Moody to sit in the paint, trying to potentially help out Cat on the backside, in case Steph easily gets by him. Curry sees this and swings it right to Jimmy, who first shot fakes to get a small closeout, then gets to attack the baseline after OG gave him an angle. Bridges somehow does not get a 3-second call but comes over to help in the paint. One of Butler's biggest strengths is his physicality. Look at him body bump an arguably bigger OG out of the way, who completely falls down. Now he jump stops into open space and explodes off 2 feet. Bridges cannot do anything about that, and Jimmy gets a bucket at the rim. Off an inbounds play, the Warriors run a classic play where Draymond gets the ball up top and Steph sets a back screen on the inbounder in Butler before potentially running off an exit screen in post. We saw this play run for Wiggins all the time. Here, because the Knicks are not switching, Jimmy is wide open after a risky pass by Dre. Bridges comes from the weak side again to completely help off Moses Moody. Butler's high basketball IQ saw this coming and makes a kick-out pass while catching the ball in the same motion. Shout out Moses Moody for having an incredible shooting game. Funny, he either goes 1 for 6 for 3 games, and then a couple games he goes 70% from downtown. Here he's ready for the catch and shoot, and Bridges has a longer closeout, so he knocks down the open triple. Golden State started coming back at the end of the first quarter off of huge momentum plays. As Pods comes for the on-ball screen, Jimmy fakes it and swings it to Horford at the top of the key instead. Because the Knicks are playing straight up, these back screens are extremely effective. Even though I'll admit Pods is moving here, hey, I'm not the one calling the game. Kolek and Hart get confused whether to switch or not. Because Pods is about to pop out, Kolek ends up leaving Butler at the last second, and you can trust Horford to make the perfect lob pass. Have not seen Jimmy rise up for this type of jam in ages. The Warriors take advantage of the poor Knicks defense. My favorite defensive play of the night. Bridges gets a pick and fakes going to the left wing and instead flares to the right side. Now his man Will Richard is behind the play, so as Bridges attacks off the catch using his right hand, Al decides to leave his man and help on the drive. Melton is also helping in his driving lane off a non-shooter in Josh Hart, pressuring Bridges to make the kick-out pass. As 2 people momentarily go to Bridges, Pods makes the early rotation to Yabusele, giving the Knicks a 2-on-1 advantage on the weak side. Look at Jimmy smelling this out from the corner, rotating all the way from Jordan Clarkson and playing the passing lane. As Hart makes a terrible jump pass, Butler reads this like a book. Then he simply uses his physicality on the smaller Kolek to push him out the way and eventually finish at the rim. Timeout New York. The addition of Jimmy Butler a year ago brought a new dimension into the Warriors offense. Contrary to Steve Kerr's traditional motion offense, Butler has made a career on elite isolation plays and single coverage situations. Melton comes for the screen to get a smaller defender in the action and the Knicks switch. Now, Shaman is a decent defender, but Butler has got size and weight on him. Here he goes in isolation while the rest of the Dubs let him cook. Jimmy loves to go to work in the elbow. A simple crossover gets by the defender, and even though Richard is sitting in the dunker spot, his man in Kolek isn't going to provide much rim protection. Cat is somehow sticking on the weak side and wants nothing to do with this, so Jimmy gets an easy look at the basket. Now, we know Jimmy has history with Cat and loves to take that matchup at any time. Horford comes to the on-ball screen and New York switches. Towns is playing a drop coverage, and similarly, Hart is sitting in the paint waiting to help him out. But you just have to let Jimmy shoot here. There's just no excuse for Cat playing the drive and getting immediately blown by with a strong right hand. Hart is there to help, and now Kolek has the 2 weak side dubs. Butler still makes the weak side kick-out pass while falling down, but Kolek froze on the rotation for a second too long in my opinion. He should have gone out to the corner right away instead of playing the wing, and Melton hits an open catch and shoot 3. When Steph sits out, the offense completely changes into a more standstill, on-ball matchup hunting type of game. As Jimmy gets the ball on the elbow, he has the right foot as the pivot. On the weak side, you can see Bridges helping off of Melton and playing the 2-9 game, where he dips both feet out of the key then resets in the paint to avoid a 3-second call. But if you're finally helping in the paint, this overload is too weak in my opinion. Jimmy takes the perfect opportunity to attack on the baseline and gets right by Hart. Bridges is still in the restricted area and offers little rim protection. Butler plants a left-right Euro step and gets an uncontested layup anyway. One play that needs to be run more is the Steph-Jimmy pick and roll. As Steph attacks, all eyes are drawn to him, including OG Anunoby. As Butler comes to the drag screen, OG is so worried about Steph's shooting ability that he leaves his man to double Curry on the perimeter. Butler slips the pick and gets a short roll pass for a 4-on-3 advantage. With Cat on the perimeter guarding Draymond and Mitchell Robinson not even in the game, there is no center or signs of rim protection. Hart and Bridges both help from the weak side, and Jimmy pretty much sees no contest here for another easy layup. Butler's known for his solid passing skills as well. In the third quarter, Quen Post had missed a couple bunnies, but they kept giving him clean looks. Here on the weak side, McBride is top blocking Steph, so he and Draymond simply counter by setting down screens on Cat. Even though Steph doesn't actually set a pick here, Towns has to maneuver through 3 guys and tries to shoot the gap, while his man in post is moving up higher on the wing. This is just extremely lazy defense, and Butler finds a wide open QP stopping in his tracks for an uncontested 3-ball. Like I mentioned earlier, the Steph and Jimmy 2-man action needs to be run more because they are such polar opposites that it will create mismatches immediately. As Steph comes for the inverted pit at the pinch post, this is an awkward part of the court to set a screen. McBride wants to stick to Curry at all costs, but the problem is that he does not even get nearly close to the level of the screen that Jimmy uses it and has an advantage right away. McBride then switches too late, but Butler already has a head of steam. Easy spin move to counter, no rim protector since Cat is guarding post on the perimeter, and it's another finish at the rim. Basic offense. Many times when Butler gets the ball in isolation, the Warriors completely go against their traditional motion and instead become stationary. This allows him to read the defense and where the help defenders are coming from. Here he has a mismatch in Jordan Clarkson, but he attacks the second Clarkson moves up towards his body, giving him his weak left hand to drive. There's just minimal resistance on this straight line drive. Hookporty can only stunt off the strong side corner because Al is a shooter. OG Anunoby rotates as the weak side low man, but he's already just way too late. OG goes straight up here and plays great defense into a miss, but look at how strong Butler is, pushing Anunoby in the air and down onto the baseline, not allowing him to get up and contest again, so Jimmy is by himself and cleans up his own miss. Even gives him the finger wag and says, "No, you can't guard me." You know he's on all-star form when he's draining catch-and-shoot three-pointers without hesitation. Melton and Steph run a pick and roll, and the Knicks get Bridges to switch. As Al comes for the second screen to get the weak Towns in the action, you can see OG already move over to help on this potential attack. For some reason, Curry gives up on this advantage early by swinging the ball, and when Butler catches the ball, New York is in pretty good shape here. OG's got his hands down, and every team will encourage him to shoot these. Butler lines up the seams and shoots with no hesitation. I mean, even on low attempts this year, he has been scorching hot from deep. He's running back laughing, probably at Buddy Hield. When Jimmy sees Cat, he smells barbecue chicken. On a Horford screen, the Knicks have no option but to switch. Jimmy sees another ISO and licks his chops, remembering the infamous Minnesota practice in which he dogged Towns with third stringers. Goes into bag work and is probably thinking, this is why the Wolves should have paid me, they needed me, and gets into the middle of the paint with his left hand. He feels Cat sliding and counters with a half spin into a right-left pivot fadeaway over his right shoulder. He shows his ability to create extra space and bounce off that last step to get a shot over the contest from the big man. Closing the game, Jimmy turned into 2023 mode on some of these shots. As he comes up higher on the wing for a handoff, OG is playing right by his side and trying to avoid the switch onto Cat. Butler feels this and counters by stopping his tracks and gets the pass from Dre behind the defense. With Bridges coming over early to help from the weak side, you almost never see Jimmy take these shots so suddenly. And again, this mid-range Jimmy who is looking for his shot reminds me of that 2023 Miami run. To close out the game, Butler wanted to get one last attack onto his favorite former teammate in Cat. With Draymond saying the screen, look at Towns avoiding the switch at all costs by sticking to the body of Green. OG is now confused and is behind the action, tries to go under the screen, but Jimmy already has an advantage driving. McBride comes to rotate as the weak side low man, but he's not going to do anything. Butler runs into contact and finishes the layup, and I'm shocked they did not call the and one here. There you guys have it. This is why Jimmy Butler's game is screaming all-star, whether he wants it or not. He's still able to control games without forcing anything, reading coverages, hunting mismatches, and physically imposing himself whenever the Warriors need a bucket or a stop. What stands out most is how scalable his game is. With Steph on the floor, he thrives as a screener, short roll playmaker, and secondary attacker. When he sits, Jimmy becomes the engine. He slows the games down, gets to his spots, and creates efficient offense out of isolation without the Warriors completely losing structure. Add in the defensive reads, the anticipation in the passing lanes, and the willingness to guard up and down. This might be the most complete version of Jimmy Butler we've seen in a Warriors uniform. He may not care about the All-Star game, but performances like this make this impossible to ignore. Especially when he takes it personal against Cat. Guess we'll find out the results in a couple of weeks. If you guys like this breakdown, like and subscribe to see more.